Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm saying like this because you're coming and participate us from all over the world, from 80 country, 236 applicant. So we are hoping that our today's session help you. I'm Maya. I'm current scholar from Georgia, and I'm a global mentorship leader this year. So today we have three brilliant Chevener who are doing them volunteering activities to share them experience regarding the interview stage. And for applicants who just join us, congratulated for your achievement, and interview stage is already very close step for your Chevening journey. So go ahead, guys, and introduce yourself.
Okay, I will start. My name is Michelle Mothibi. I'm an MSc Project Management student at the University of Reading, and I come from the very beautiful country called Botswana, which is, if you don't know, look down South Africa. On top of South Africa, you'll find the beautiful country Botswana. So I'm here to share some tips on my Chevening interview, and hopefully you pick one or two things that you be able to ace your interview in. So over to you, Diana.
Thank you. So I'm Diana. I'm from Mozambique and I'm studying sustainable development at the University of Sussex. And today I'm planning to give you tips about how you can ace your interview and win the scholarship. So yeah, that's it. Yet last year I was in all of this kind of preparation with the mentors for last year. So I was in your side last year. So, yeah.
Edwin, go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Edwin Wabomba from Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. I think everyone knows that. I am studying city planning and real estate development at the University of Glasgow. So Maya there is my OG. That's what we call it. Yeah, glad to be here. I'll be sharing my Chevening experience. Yeah, and also praying that you guys are able to win the scholarship. It's a beautiful one. It's a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I want to take 1 minute to be to say that thank you so much. I'm very appreciated your time and your volunteering activities. You're a leader, because be a leader, it's not meant to only improve yourself. It's meant the help for Chevening community, and I hope so, guys, that most of you will come to next year here, and you are continues our volunteering activities. So let's move on officially.
Your continues.
Okay, so this is me. Can you believe it?
So, sorry, can you unmute yourself, because I muted everyone that I
Okay.
heard some voices.
Okay. I was just saying that, can you believe that just coming to sit here and share interview tips, I got nervous because each and every one of you is listening to every bit that we have to say, and you're going to be responding, wondering how we even made it here. Like if I say something wrong, you're going to wonder how I even made it here. So please don't be too critical. Because it's already tough sitting here speaking to leaders who know their thing. So I'll start off by saying tomorrow is World Engineering Day. And as a civil engineer myself, I just want to acknowledge any engineer in this platform. Now let's kickstart with the interview tips, because that's what you're all here for. Well, the first thing I want to start off with there is checking. You want to go back, log in, check if you've uploaded your reference letter, check if you've uploaded your certificates. The reason I say this is that my interview was in April. And in March, I got an email Michelle, can you please check that you've uploaded all your references and certificates? And I thought I had done that, but for some reason, one of my references was not uploaded correctly. So please, you never know what's happening in that system. Go back and check that indeed all your stuff is on there. And the second thing I want to share with you is be informed. Now, can I please get like likes on the screen or something if you've signed up for the Alphagram, which is the Chevening newsletter? Everyone on here, any reaction? You've signed up? I should be seeing things popping up on my screen. So none of you have signed up for the newsletter. Okay, I see something. Okay, I see some reactions. It's very important that you sign up for the Chevening newsletter because it will actually give you some information about what Chevening is doing. It will be easy for you to tell your story while referring to some of the things that they're sharing in the newsletter. So please sign up for the Alphagram. The other thing you want to do is to go onto the Chevening website and read up on the Chevening blogs. Like they share blogs on interview tips. They tell you questions that might come up, how to respond to them. So it's very important that you also not only attending these sessions, but also hear what Chevening has to say about the interview itself. And then the other thing you want to do is binge watch YouTube channels. Like all these sessions are going to be added onto the YouTube platform. That's what I did. Everyone probably on this platform with me has said that they've been at sessions like this or they've had mock interviews. A very interesting story about me. I don't know if I should advise you to do that, but interestingly about me, guys, I never attended mock sessions. I didn't attend these information sharing sessions. But what did I do? That's the strategy I want to share with you today. And I'm not saying follow my strategy. All I'm saying is if you have a strategy and it works for you, please go with that. With me, I watched these sessions on YouTube. I watched a lot of mock interview sessions, and I began to formulate questions and answers on a document, which goes on to my third point is some examples of questions that might come up, which you should look into. One of the questions might be, what will be your contribution to Chevening? Why should you be selected for Chevening? And if you're somebody who knows your story and your story ties in to the Chevening goals, I've already told you to go and read the Alphagram. If you are in Botswana, make sure that you follow the UK in Botswana page because they share exactly the activities that they're doing and try and tie in those events to your own story and how you're going to contribute. And the second question I might share with you is, what will you give to the Chevening network and alumni? How will you network when you are in the UK? This is us networking here. Like you could probably tell them that I'm going to be like Maya or like Michelle. When there's an opportunity to share my story with other Chevening scholars, I'm going to jump for that opportunity. That way you're going to meet a lot of people, you know? So you're learning already how to respond to the question and how you're going to contribute to your alumni or your current cohort. And also in responding to a question like how you contribute to your cohort, you guys are going to be in the 40th cohort. So when responding to such answers, say, I'm going to be in the 40th cohort. So that's an exciting thing for me because I'm going to contribute in this way and this way. Let them know you are in the 40th cohort, you know. It shows you've really engaged in what Chevening is doing. The third question I want to share with you is things like why the UK? What are the challenges that you might face and how will you overcome them? When I answered this question in terms of the second part of the challenges that you might face, it might be a personal story to you. For me, my story was very personal because I have a daughter. I have a 2-year-old daughter. My husband is back home. So this is a challenge for me, but also responding, how are you going to then overcome this challenge? So I told them already. I had installed like a video cam in my house. That's something we were already starting to work on. Like even when I go to trips in a city in my country, I already use that video cam, so it's something I can use as well when I'm in the UK. So already it shows them that you've already put measures in place, even if you're not selected. So it really shows you are quite a leader in that way. And then now moving on to my fourth point, which is the interview day. And I've written there, we want you. It's a conversation. It's your story. Let's avoid looking down on ourselves. Avoid the imposter syndrome. You've gotten this far because of the story that you told on paper. So, what's going to set you apart if you're doing an online interview, for instance? You'll probably log in way before they even start the meeting. Now, when they switch on their cameras, the first facial expression or the first words that come out of your mouth are going to set up the tone for your interview. So, say for instance, we come in and Maya says, "Good morning, Michelle." And I'm like, "Oh, good morning." That's going to be your interview. If she says, "Good morning, Michelle," and you're like, "Good morning, everyone. How are you doing?" That sets the mood for your whole interview. So you choose how you want the mood in the room to be just by walking in and the first words that you say in the interview. So I've covered be yourself, it's a conversation, engage, and remember when responding, always to respond in the STAR approach. You will avoid being all over the place, not knowing exactly how to answer a question. But if you keep that STAR approach in mind, you did it when writing your essays, you have to do it even when responding in the interview itself. Okay? I hope that's all I wanted to say here. And then the last thing is the panel. I said here, there's a question mark there. They will say, "Do you have any questions for us?" If you were not engaging, if you were not taking it as a conversation, you will freeze and not have a good question to ask. If you are engaging, for instance, with me when I was interviewed, I found out the person interviewing me, their son actually came to the same school as me. So if you are engaging, you know exactly how to answer the question. Do you have any questions for us? And if you're smart enough, you've been reading the alphagram, you know what other countries are doing, what other activities are happening in those countries. You'll be able to ask them, for instance, your own embassy, the embassy in your country is the one that's going to be interviewing you. So you have to ask them, "Oh, I saw that in Uganda they are doing 1, 2, 3. So in Botswana, are you also applying the same strategy that how far is this going in Botswana?" It shows that, okay, fine, you're not only thinking of Botswana, you're also thinking of other countries and how their activities can relate to your own country. So when asking a question, guys, be unique. Don't ask the same boring questions such as, "What challenges do you think I'll face in terms of the weather? What challenges do you think I'll face in terms of the food?" There'll already be challenges. Everybody knows that. So come up with questions that are unique to you. Thank you very much, Maya. I hope I hope all that I've shared will be beneficial to everyone.
Thank you so much. Sometimes I mention this sentence in every session that I'm envy, guys, for you, for new applicants, because the tips and experience I listen, I'm more and more excited to be a Chevener, and I'm proud that I'm a part of this community. So that's why we are doing this session for you to give you motivation. Thank you so much, Michelle. So very interesting experience. And let's change the slide. So Diana, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Maya. So, first of all, I would like to start or begin with the English. I'm coming from Mozambique and we speak Portuguese and English. I was not like that good as now, but I was like so afraid that my English, I was not confident at the time. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. So be confident. They are not looking for your English. They're not looking for who speak better than other. They just want to like listen what you have to say. So be comfortable with this. So I'm going to start with the research. It's important to come with a background. So this shows that you understand because Chevening is a brand. We can call Chevening. It's like you need to know about Chevening, what they are doing, what the scholarship is about, who Chevening is engaged with. So search about Chevening, search about the priorities in the UK. This is so important. You need to like search about, for example, your field of study, your course, your university. So this is important to know because this shows that you made your homework. Like this shows that you are prepared for the interview. So this is so important to do. And then the second point that I have here is master your answer. So this doesn't have another thing that practice. You need to practice, practice, practice. And with the practice, you're becoming usually used to the like things that you want to answer and the way that you want to answer, and it will be perfect. So with your answer, you need to show passion. You need to show that you have vivid this kind of experience that you are trying to show them. So it's important to master your answer. Sorry. And then the third point is prepare for the interview. I had a problem with my preparation, so I was doing in my house, and like I have many people, and they're like doing noise. So I decided to go to another place for the interview because it was a big deal. I didn't want to mess up everything, so I decided to book a place that I will be good for the interview. Like I will suggest more silent place, far from everywhere, from for everything, but with access to internet because it was an online interview. But if you are doing a like face-to-face interview, I would suggest to go there like a day before just to know the place because you don't want to go like even 3 minutes later, this will count in your evaluation. So make sure to go there one day before, get to know with the place. So if you are doing an online interview, make sure that you have access to internet and everything is cool, like your environment is cool. And then documents. During the interview, you need to provide your passport. So make sure to bring your passport to your interview, either online or face to face. And the dress code. Doesn't look like important, but it counts because during the interview, the first impression that they have with you will stay for the whole interview. So you need to like dress up. I will suggest like casual, formal to formal. So like long sleeve shirt, for example, like jackets and like, but try to impress them for outside and then impress them from the inside with what you want to tell them. And then number and statistics. I think this helped me a lot. For example, I will give an example of one of my answers. They asked me why I decided for the UK. So I come with the university. I said that have the best universities around the world. But then I said that UK is ranked. For example, I said that they have a ranked, according to the UN, they are ranked like 17 out of 193. So this showed that you made your research. Back to the first point, this shows that you made your research about your field and your course and all this kind of stuff. So it's important to understand your field of study because I was I'm studying sustainable development, so I search about these. I search about the statistics. I search about the number, and with all these on plate, you are be able to show them that you are the right candidate for the scholarship. Because if they uh, invited you for the interview, this means that you have potential to be a Schiffner, but just need a little bit of like engagement so they could know you more. Yeah. And the last point is the interview answer. I know like many people like decided for the start approach, but I add the L, which stand for lessons. So first you're going to talk and like task, action, and result. And then after this, you are going to talk about the lesson that you gain with this specific experience. So you are going to talk about this, and remember for the main four questions like networking, leadership, study, and career plan. After you use the STAR work, I would say STAR plus approach. You're going to say why shifting or how shifting is going to help you, like how the scholarship or how gaining the scholarship will help you like engage more with what you're currently doing. So I have the next slide. Maya, please, the next slide. Sorry. Timeline. This is my particular experience with the interview. Interview like stayed for 40 minutes. So the first 3 minutes are the time you are going to the room or you are like open your Zoom or other like app that you are going to use. So this stage is so important, the first 3 minutes, because they is the start is the beginning of the conversation. So you need to show them like you need to be polite. UK people are very polite. I think they are the politest people around the world. So you need to be polite. If you're like you can say like good morning, try to engage them, try to know more about who are the people who's going to interview you. So this is so important. And then the introduction question. This is the first question they ask you. For example, for me, they ask me about like to tell them about who am I. So I started this. I will suggest to start with like this is your moment to shine. So you need to like you need to show your value at the first question, at the last one. So I will explain after the last one. So for the first question, this is your moment to show. I will say in 3 minutes, usually you can like, you can talk about yourself. So this is your moment to show that you are the best candidate, talk about specific things about you that they will love. And for me, they asked me this and I answer about who am I with kind of activities I was doing at the time. And I also talk about the the things that I like it, like books. I talk about books. I talk about my favorite bands, and they like it. So at the end of this answer, they was like, "Oh, you don't have time to do anything." So they start laughing about all this kind of stuff that I was doing. So it's important to engage with them, talk with them. This is more like a conversation than an interview, and they will try to talk with you. And the next point is be consistent with what you wrote for the essays. So it's important, like if you write something and you attend the interview with a something completely different, this is not cool, because they already they will read all the essays and then they will go to interview you. So you need to like talk about what you wrote in the past. So this is also important. And this is the time I would suggest, this is the middle time. There will be time that will answer the question. You will not understand the question, but don't forget, you can ask how many times you want to ask. So yeah, the last part, it was the last questions like The last question is so important. So you need to give them a good impression after all the interview. So an impression that will they will remember about you. So this is important too. You need to finish your interview. You start with a bang, you finish with a bang. So this is also important. And don't forget to ask questions I don't know, if you don't ask question, if you get the scholarship, but every kind of video that I watch, they suggest us to ask question. So I had a problem with one of my references, so they helped me with this, and I asked I act like I was a scholar. I I acted like I was already gained the scholarship. So I asked them what kind of thing do you think that I would love in the UK after my arriving? So they will they starting laughing and they tell me that you will enjoy this, you will enjoy that, and it was so. That moment I knew that I will gain the scholarship. And then the other thing, I will advise to fix the name of the panels, to address them properly. You are talking with someone, so you need to be respectful with this person. So, for example, I'm here with the panel. I will say, for example, "Hi, Maya," or you can ask them how they want to be addressed. So this is also cool, but try to address them properly. So yeah, this is what I had to say for today. Any question, I will answer at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. I'm impressed. And guys, I hope that you also made the notes for key tips that Diana and Michelle already shared. And Edwin, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Diana and Michelle. Those are very brilliant thoughts, and I strongly believe the applicants are picking so much. Um, of course, the brilliant ladies have shared. I'll just do a top up. But basically, my experience was an interesting one. I think I've been throughout the time I was selected for the scholarship, I've been telling people that Chevening has set a very simple system to know whether you are being truthful, whether you are being authentic, whether you are being yourself or you are creating stories from air. So my first point is be as authentic as possible, be simple, be yourself, tell a true story, that story that is so clear. You will notice when you enter the interview room that they will actually tell you that we have your essays or the stories that you shared when you were applying. And so they have the 4 essay questions with them before you. And so that's one of the ways they tell whether you are the one who actually wrote those essays or you hired a mercenary who actually wrote them for you. So they just want to prove that. So when you get to that meeting, of course, for you to also be able to be conversant, to be very well prepared, it simply means that you have to go through your essays over and again, not cramming, because cramming is very dangerous, but at least getting to understand your stories as a leader, whatever you have been doing throughout your time as a leader, try to share those stories in the most authentic way. And why am I emphasizing this is that I also discovered along the way that, yes, they do what they call checks, background checks. And actually, that is the work of the embassy in your country or the High Commission. So they check. Like, for example, if you say you did a project, let's say, for example, a cleaning campaign in a given city, or either the main capital or one of the small cities within the country, the embassy has links or networks through which they can easily find out if such an activity ever existed in that community where you mentioned. So you just want to be very sure that whatever story you have shared is truthful, is realistic, is authentic enough, because you don't want to be found to be lying, because that is one of the ways they will automatically disqualify you from the scholarship. So maybe like also, I think it is Diana who shared, don't look for huge things. Because some people tend to think that probably for you to get a Chevening Scholarship, you must have been a CEO of some organization or a manager, top manager, or something like that. I think Chevening is just looking for people who are leaders, people who understand their purpose in life, and people who are doing whatever they're able to do within their limitations to be able to make a difference in their community. So that's why they want you to share those simple stories, but in the most authentic and realistic manner. My second sharing is something that I also discovered along the way, and I think it is becoming a norm. I think from last year or 2 years ago, they introduced something called the learning. Many times when we carry out a project, there's always that unique thing that you learn. I'll give an example. When we launched a cleaning campaign in my community back home in Uganda in 2018, when I was preparing the documents for the project, I think one of the key elements that I forgot about, I never thought about, was participation of children as key participants in the cleaning exercise. But I was also shocked that when we did the launch, probably between 20 to 30% of the participants were actually children. So for me, that was a learning. And so when we're doing an evaluation and basically re-strategizing and trying to check the documents again just to make sure they are better, one of the additions or the things that we added in our project was actually children as key participants in the campaign. And up now we have seen how children have been very, very, very supportive and very important in the process of the campaign. So if you carried out an activity, try as much as possible to share with the panel or the interviewers what you learned out of. Sometimes they'll ask, like I think I remember during my interview, they asked me from my leadership question what I learned from my activities I'd shared in the leadership questions. But if they don't ask you, I think it is something, because what you're looking for is how do you build an environment where you will be more engaging with the panel. You'll actually be the one to lead them into what they have to ask you, other than allowing them to ask you questions that you may not be aware about. So have that in mind, be able to analyze everything that you have been able to do throughout your leadership journey, and share those unique, simple things that you learned from your projects. And then the mock interviews and practice. I think Michelle said she'd never had an opportunity to go through the mock interviews. But for me, I should be very honest, I think it is something that really, really worked for us. We were in a group of about 4 participants, and we made it a point to be checking each other every other time. I always tell people, and they laugh, I've been in the business sector since I left school. I've been interviewing people for as long as I've worked, but it is so funny that Chevening was my first formal interview. Yes, it is so surprising. So I needed someone to actually help me learn those simple basics of how you behave, you articulate issues during the interview. Of course, I had skills here and there, but there's always something new that you're going to learn from your fellow, because like Maya shared, all of us are leaders. The people you are sharing with are people who have done quite a number of things within their spheres across a very long period of time. And so obviously there's something new that you're going to learn from them for you to be able to make your interview better. So if you can find someone to do mock interviews with, they may be in your country, they may be outside your country, feel free to look out for those people and practice as much as you can. And then, of course, I'll also maybe share what we are doing in Uganda for Ugandan applicants. Like what we did is we have a group with them, but then we have separated them into small groups basing on their fields of interest. Like, for example, people who are going to do development studies or finance and management or planning, so that people are able to basically share, because you realize, like Michelle, a civil engineer, she will tell you that every professional sector has a certain language of how things are communicated. So sometimes when you're within that group, you'll be able to pick a few things that we may not have thought about, things that will easily come in the interview and you didn't think about them. and so your colleague will be able to share with you. And then maybe as also a point of emphasis that if you have something that you know, please don't keep it to yourself and think, okay, may I know this idea, it is my idea, I cannot share with others because I want to be better than them. No, please be open, share as much knowledge as you can, and be also open, take in as much as you can, because one thing, two things that you may pick from a friend will probably help you to be able to win the scholarship for yourself. And then deep research. I think Diana shared something about research, but I add on that do deep research. Please, you don't want to turn out to be vague. You don't want to turn out to be generic in your interview. And being generic, I mean, like, for example, if you're talking about your professors, don't just mention the name of the professor that you're interested in and you stop there. It is very critical that you go ahead and share what papers have these professors probably written or published within their areas of practice. What specific module or course unit is this professor actually teaching in the university that you want to go to, or maybe what are their research interests? What has been their areas of practice? Like, for example, one of my tutors that I wanted to meet, and I've already actually met him, he's very well versed in areas of spatial planning, and that's an area as a city planner that I'm really so interested in learning. So I made sure I did a lot of research on the papers he has published in the area of spatial planning, even the previous entities that he worked with. So by the time I went to the interview, I knew, okay, my professor of interest, he worked with the UN, he worked in Sweden, he worked here, because most of them, if you do research online, you'll find all those details about them. So do a lot of research. If you're doing research about Chevening activities, like my colleagues shared, Chevening keeps posting a lot of different stuff on the Chevening website. They will tell you which event is going to happen this year, in which month, next year, in which month, what other activities are around the UK. So you should pick a lot of interest. And so if you are talking about maybe Chevenings, there's something that you have, let's say, for example, the Chevening Summit. It would be very nice if you went ahead and gave a bit of detail of what the summit is, because those details are normally available on the website. Basically, you want to show the panel that you are well informed, you are well researched, and you are prepared because remember, for whatever you are going through is literally preparation for you to be ready to handle the intense master's program. And when they use the word intense, it is really intense. So do your research and prepare yourself and just show these guys that yes, you are prepared for whatever is coming ahead of you, and you are going to do your best. So do a lot of research. Also in the area of skills, I remember one of the most interesting questions. I don't know if Michelle and Maya and Diana were asked this question, but one of the questions that most of us didn't expect was, tell us the skills you hope to get from your master's program and how you will use those skills to change your home country. Now, most of us thought they were going to ask us about which courses you are going to do in the UK, which universities and all that, and we had prepared quite a lot on those lines. But then here you land on something that is very unique. And I remember very well, we didn't actually in our mock interviews and all that discuss this, but I think I got something about skills and all that on in the Chevening blog. Now, if I'd not gone there to do research and be able to read extensively and all that, probably I wouldn't have answered that question very, very well. So please do your research and be informed so that you're able to present yourself as someone who is really prepared for the interviews. And then my last sharing is the element of asking a question. I think all my colleagues have emphasized it, and I will also add on. It is very, very, very bad for these guys to ask you if you have any question for them, and then you tell them I don't have any question. It's really sad, it's bad. But also too, I have also said down there that these guys are looking for competence, not sympathy. Please don't ask a sympathetic question or a question that you think will make the panel sympathize with you and maybe, give you a scholarship because they have sympathized with you. No, they are looking for competence. They're looking for someone who is going to stand out. So that is an opportunity for you to actually show these guys that, yes, here I am. I am the best person for the scholarship. Yes, we are 100 of us, we are 1,000 of us, but I think I'm very prepared. I stand out, and it should be so. And that question that you ask is very critical in positioning you a little bit above other applicants during the interview session. So look at a few questions about, for example, maybe, like for example, you ask about the alumni, you ask about Chevening activities, you ask about maybe the UK, like I think it was Diana who shared something about that, so that these guys get to understand that, yes, you're well versed with what you're talking about, but this you're participating, because asking a question is an opportunity for you to actually appreciate these guys that, yes, they invited you to the interview, they've given you their time, you listened carefully to whatever they shared with you, and so you're also willing to interact with them. So please practice as much as you can. Look out for areas where you think you can pick one or two questions, and then eventually pick the best question, because always one question is enough, so that you don't, again, confuse yourself. But also, just on top of that, there's something that shocked me in the interview. After they had actually told me that the interview has ended, one of the panelists, who is the president of our alumni association in Uganda, began engaging me. She asked me just casual questions, say, are you planning to become a politician? Why are you so interested about doing a lot of activities in your home city and not in the capital where you are staying and all that? Now, I responded to those questions. Somehow, I think in my head, I took it serious and I responded in a very good way, which I didn't know, of course, at that time in the interview, you cannot tell. But during one of, I think when we were preparing to come, during the dinner at the residence of the commission, I had an opportunity to interact with her again because she was there, and asked her what made me stand out in the interview. And she actually told me, your last interaction with us left everyone interested in you. So that made me realize that anything they ask you for, as long as you are within the interview room, it is likely that it's part of the interview. So don't take anything casual. Take advantage of any conversation. As long as you are still within that room, it is likely that it is part of the interview. So take advantage of it and share as much as you can for you to be able to stand out. Thank you so much. I think that's what I had for today.
Thank you so much, Edwin. So interesting experience to share for us. I hope that my voice is still here because I'm in university and I'm sitting next to freshmen and they are so loud. So guys, it's the time for question. Just a moment, I will change the slide and let's move on. I think this is your favorite part for new applicants. So go ahead and ask us question as our speaker's question. In my list, first person is Said. Go ahead, please directly the question.
Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Set from Brunei. First of all, thank you for the tremendous effort and time that you guys have spared for all of us, despite your busy schedules. So I have two questions, if you don't mind. My first question would be for a specific question. For example, when you're giving an example on leadership or networking, what is the sort of duration that you have when you're giving the examples? Because I don't want to be giving long-winded example which may bore the panel. So what is the suggested time that you should be explaining your example? That's my first question. And my second question would be, there is a question that I found that I may be struggling to answer, which is how I will be able to demonstrate my my contribution to enhance my country and the UK's relationship? Any tips on that? Thank you. Any panel can answer any of the questions. Thank you.
So guys, go ahead. Some of you, like
I
which one you
will I will start. I'll answer both of them very briefly, and then whoever wants to add on can do that. So in terms of the duration of your answers, like we've been saying, you need to answer using the STAR approach. And sometimes when you're answering, you already know in your head when you've been blabbering for too long. I don't know if everyone always feels that, but most of the time, I would say like 2 to 3 minutes. Don't go too long. Just 2 to 3 minutes. And if you're using the STAR approach, your example can be so engaging that no one is looking at the time. But try and not go too long, 2 to 3 minutes, I would say. And then in terms of your second question about how you demonstrate your country's objectives and your own. Like we've been saying, if you've been reading the Alphagram, you follow your country pages, you have to try and pick activities that they're doing there that tie into your program. An example I would give is I'm studying project management, and if I'm given a question like that, I will be able to help the Chevening embassy in my country with all the events that they're doing, because they require a project manager to initiate their projects as well as ensure that they're closing them out well and structuring their programs in a certain way. So you should answer based on the events that you've seen they're doing and what your program is about or what you're passionate about. I don't know if Diana, Edwin, you want to add on to that.
I think maybe just to add on question one, one thing you need to know is that the interview has a limited time. I think for our case, it was 30 minutes overall. So basically, you need to know as you enter the interview room, you need to know that you are going to share all your 4 essays and that extra questions that they will ask you a maximum of 30 minutes. So you just have to make sure that if you are picking examples, you have picked the best examples. And also, like Michelle has shared, do not forget using the STAR approach, because if you follow the STAR approach and you have picked the best example, because all of us have done a lot as leaders, you have done so much, but pick the best example. And for me, that will help you be able to summarize it a little bit faster than if you pick the whole story. So it shouldn't be a long story. It shouldn't be something very well summarized, but a story that you think will make you stand out, an example that is so strong. And even in the interview, by the way, they will tell you some, like I remember they told me, yes, you guys, we know you are doing so much, we have read about you, we have seen certain things, but please pick 2 best examples according to you. So don't look for something that you think will consume probably 50% of your time. That will be a disservice to you. Thank you so much.
So
I
for
agree.
me, in terms of leadership, I will suggest to, like, for all the 4 questions, I will suggest to first listen carefully what they asking you. So for example, they will ask, give us one example. They just want to listen just one example of your leadership, like your leadership skills. So try to listen carefully what they're asking first. And then I will suggest to go straight to your answer, not lose time to like trying to define what is your leadership, like what is leadership for you. I did this, like I answer like in 2 minutes each question, so I didn't waste my time trying to define what leadership it is. So I would advise to go straight to what you have to say, so this doesn't consume so much time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Appreciate.
So next person is Kanzadi. Please go ahead and directly ask the question with speakers.
Um, you answered the question that how can you apply skills and new qualifications that you learned from UK degree. So can you please elaborate it, because it's like in which context we should answer it. And my other question is that regarding the leadership or any networking answer that we are answering them, we should like only add the challenge that we wrote in the essay, or like in detail, like one or two another challenge that we that happened but we couldn't write it in the essay. And also anything that we missed out like in results. So it basically like adds on, and it just extends the answer to like 5 minutes. So that's my question.
Guys, feel free. You can start with
Okay.
your question you want.
I will, thank you. I will start with the first question of how to demonstrate how you'll apply your skills. I'll give an example. Still, I'll share from my perspective in terms of what I'm studying or what I'm practicing. Like I shared, I'm a city planner. And so the question was, what skills are you going to get and how will you apply them? Now, still going back to the principle of like the STAR approach, like we shared, I think one of the things that I'm currently working on, and that is exactly what I shared in the meeting, still going back to the element of being authentic, we're working on a digital system or platform where we want to increase access to affordable planning services for the urban poor. Now, what skills am I looking for? I think I shared before that one of the things I'm interested in is building or developing my spatial planning skills. It's a whole deep subject, something that I wasn't really well conversant with, but right now, as I progress with my master's program, I am gaining a lot. I'm picking a lot of skills that I didn't have before. So how am I going to apply these skills? I am going back to my country, of course, together with my team, the team that I'm going to lead, for us to be able to launch this idea that we have been working on and how we're going to apply. I, for example, gave a physical example, and I said I've already selected 2 small town councils or urban authorities, and through using my skills, I'll be able to develop for them a free master plan as a way of launching our activities. So that's one way you can say you are going to actually share your skills or apply your skills. If you're a medical doctor and maybe you are going to probably concentrate on, let's say, for example, sensitization on non-communicable diseases. So basically you could, for example, say when I go back, I am going to, create a program or an activity or a charitable event where I'll be sensitizing the community on non-communicable diseases, and you lay out a few things, 1 or 2 or 5 things that you think you'll be able to do practically for you to be able to share with the community members that you are targeting about non-communicable diseases. So you will have picked skills from your master's program, and here you are now applying them practically. Don't pick something from air. Especially if you're going to still work in your area of practice, I would so much say, look at what you have been doing, how your master's program has helped you improve, and how you're going to apply those new skills for you to be able to transform or share with your community. On the second question, actually something that I'd raised my hand, I wanted to add on from the previous question, but it's good it has come up. Now, this worked for me. Like we said, Chevening is a very personal experience, but from my perspective, I would so much advise that you do not look out for new stories to share or leadership examples to share, because by the mere fact that you were selected to go and attend this interview, basing on already the 2 stories, 2 examples or 1 example that you gave in your essay, it simply means that that example is strong enough. So I would so much encourage that read your essays, get well conversant with whatever you shared, so that you can share your story in a more authentic way. And of course, honestly speaking, writing is totally different from talking or speaking to someone. The way you articulate your issues, the way you attach those emotional elements to your story, the way you share your views will certainly even build further your story that made you get selected to the interview stage. So in my opinion, I would so much advise that don't create a new story or a new leadership example. Yes, there may be many, but if your example made you get selected for the interview, it simply means that it's a very good example. So just build it up, make it more practical, make it more interesting for someone to listen to, and it should really work. That's what I really think.
Um,
Thank you.
I was asking that if I could add another challenge that I haven't written in the essay, in the same leadership example that I wrote, like adding on more challenge so I could give more detail about it. Or
Yes.
is only one challenge enough that I already wrote about it?
Now, in the essay, remember we are restricted to 500 words. But as, let's say, for example, as I'm talking like this, probably within 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I might have said about 200 words. So if it is another challenge within the same leadership example, I think that's okay because you are just trying to expound on what you already shared, on a story these guys already have before them. So I think that is definitely very okay. If there is a new challenge and something that you think will even strengthen your example, I think that's okay.
Thank you so much, Edwin. I think you covered these two questions. So next one is Kishmala, and go ahead, please, directly question. And
Hello.
Diana, please answer this question.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I have two questions. My first question is, how do we go about the question, what is your backup plan? Just in a way that it doesn't backfire you. And my second question is, it's related to career plan. When I was writing my essay, at that time, I was not working anywhere. I was basically looking for opportunities. So basically, in my short-term plan, I have basically wrote about it. When I come back from UK, I'm going to basically join these or kind of organizations in this particular kind of designation. However, at this moment, I am on job. So now, what is the best way to tackle this kind of change? Yeah, thank you.
Could you repeat the first question, please?
Yes, I can. I'm saying, what is the best approach to go by an answer? What is your backup plan if you don't get this scholarship?
Oh, yeah. So, for example, this question, we have a preparation with one of the scholars for previous years. So it was a tricky question, so you need to answer correctly. So about this backup plan, you can say that if you don't get the scholarship, you are going to continue engaging with what you are currently doing in your country. Like, for example, you are doing this right now in your country. So Chevening is a way that will help you gain more experience to go back and doing stuff in your country. So the best way to answer this is to say that you're continuing engaged with your currently activities and you're next year. So try to be specific about this.
Michelle, do you want to add something regarding this, or maybe you answer the second question, please?
Okay. I think, thank you, Diane. I was going to say something similar in terms of the backup plan because you still want to show you want to achieve your career goals. You still want to indicate to them that you want to reach the end goal. Chevening is one of the modes of you getting to your career goal. So highlight that to them. The second question, please repeat that for me.
Yeah, let me repeat my question. I was saying when I was writing the essays, at that time I was not on job. And in my short-term career plan, I said that after coming back from the UK, I'm going to join these particular organizations. However, at this moment, I'm already on job. Like I recently got a job. So how I'm going to like tackle, this change in my like career?
That's a good thing. If your short-term goal is already achieved, it's something that you'd express to them that at the moment my short-term goals are already met, so I look forward to moving on to what my medium-term goals will be. It's a good thing that your short-term goals, your goalposts will always change, guys. Even when you come back, they don't expect your career goals to be the same. You're evolving, the world is evolving. So are your career goals. So it's just to tell them that I've already achieved this so far. So this is my next move. It's exactly that. Your life is evolving. So what was your medium term goal might be now adapted to your short term goals coming back. I hope I've answered you.
Thank you so much. It was really reassuring. Thank you.
So in my list, next person is Bin. Go ahead, please.
Hello everyone. My question is to Diana. It's already question related to the number of examples. So you said that it's better just to mention just the best example that you have because it's better not to exceed 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But some says it's better to have like a current example from to show that you have you're a good leader and you experienced a lot. So how can I approach this? Some ideas that I heard is when you complete the first example, you said that you ask them politely to if there is a time to present another example from current situation. So I need to hear from you, please, any ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, that's is a good point. The point that I talk about is like when you're going to like answer some question, make sure that you listen properly because they were not going to ask you what is your leadership skill. They're going to ask this more formulated in a way that it's different like it's not different, but they want to show about your leadership skills. And sometimes they're going to ask for just one example, or they're going to ask like show like some kind of skills in terms of leadership that you can prove. So you can use one example. I said that one example is the best because you can explore, show the best one is to explore, try to be direct and explore this best option in a good way that they will understand what you want to say. So yeah, I used just one example. This was for my own experience and I just focused on the best one. And yeah, I think it worked, but it can work for you with two examples, but try not to be like broad and not to be so long about what you want to talk. Be specific with what you want to talk about this.
Yeah, I also want to add a little comment regarding the topic because as I mentioned, guys, we are share for you that our experience and all of us, we are very unique and we have absolutely different approaches, experience because Chevening looking for individuals. So you already attending, this is the session. So you listen almost like more than 20 scholar. So guys, trying to find the approaches which work for you, okay? So because last year, for example, from my perspective, that from the beginning I share for them for the leadership my example that I've written for essay, but I also said like if you don't mind and we have enough time, I want to also share my new experience because it's already 6 months done and as a leader I improve my personal stuff like I developed myself and I have very good and relative example regarding the inclusive education and I'm so excited to share for you and they was like okay of course go ahead. So you have to try to find your way, how to express your feelings, your emotions, your goal, and career plan. So don't limit yourself. But if they don't have enough time, they said like, sorry, but we have not enough time. So it's also personal.
And
Next person is
sorry,
Otis.
sorry, just one tip that I will give maybe for about this is that like try to read the panelists too. I book my interview for afternoon. So the first thing that I see when I attend the interview is that they're already exhausted. So try to read their faces because it was so clear, like they were exhausted. So this can help. Try to read them.
Also, I just came the idea in my mind what I done last year, guys. I look like our embassy sent us the name, who will be our panels and information. So because my interview was online, I don't know how it's happening when it's face to face. So what I done, I go LinkedIn, I check them, I check them interest. So last when the speakers today talking about question, I ask them very personal question for personally for alumni because I know which university he studied in the UK. So I interesting to ask him very personal question. So maybe it's this information help you somehow to manage your answer. So next person is Thea. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. My question is just on networking and on leadership. Let me say now, if they ask you about to share your networking skill and your leadership, and you give a similar example on, same example, almost. Yeah, like almost, or let me say it's related to your networking and your leadership. Is it fine, or do I need to, like, on networking should be different, then on leadership should be like on my bullet number 2, or is it fine?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Okay, my question is like on networking. Let me talk now about my essay. It's I almost write something related on networking and leadership. Is it fine if I just share that same story, or do I need to, like, on networking should be different, leadership must be different, or how?
Okay, I will take this one. Um, I like challenging people when they ask me a question. So my question to you, if I'm in a panel and I'm asking you about what your effective networking skills are, would you answer in terms of your networking skills, or would you try and merge your leadership skills into that question as well?
The thing is, what I wrote on networking is similar to, it's related to something that is also part of my leadership skill. Is it the same? Is it fine if I just share, like, the same story, or do I need, like, because on my essay I have two networking stories, and which are different, and two leadership stories.
Yeah,
Do I need but they are different. Do I need
yeah,
to did you get me? Do you get me
yeah,
now?
I get you. It's your
Yeah.
story. And if your
Okay.
networking story includes leadership, bravo for you. It's your story. So if you're
Oh,
asked to tell about networking skills, tell your story. I mean, it got you this far, so tell that story, even with the leadership inside.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was my
you are
Yeah,
question.
in this
I think maybe
stage.
just to add on what Michelle has shared, The first thing, guys, you need to know is that by the fact that you have been selected for this interview, the basis of that selection was mainly what you shared with these guys. That's the first thing you need to know. So that means your story passed a certain authentication process, and so it's a good story. But also critical is for you to differentiate the two stories, you need to pick, like for example, if you are giving that example during the leadership question, pick the critical elements that show leadership within the story. Okay. Now, when you get to the element of networking, also pick the critical elements that show networking skills within the same story. It is okay, you can share the same story, but what you need to have at the back of your mind is that the first question is talking about leadership. What were the leadership elements that you showed when you are, let's say, for example, if it is a project, what were the leadership attributes or elements that you showed when you are undertaking the project? So the panel should be able to pick that very clearly. When you get to element of networking skill, you should also be able to clearly highlight how you applied networking skills to actually share the same story or undertake the same project. So you can use the same example, but of course, if you have other examples and time allows, please chip in so that you're able to have a little bit more expounded examples for the panel to listen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Edwin. Very, very good answer, and it's covered every like the question that Thea has. So next one, Otis. I'm so sorry that I skipped you previous time. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. Am I okay? Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hi to the panelists. Again, it's a pleasure being part of this group. I'm Otis S. Bonder from Liberia. I have a question because most of the speakers have made emphasis on using star. It's a bit new to me, right? So I was thinking as to whether there's a little trick to reduce the way you approach answers because star you have to state the situation, the task, the action, the result, and it becomes overwhelming. I mean, it becomes very long. I was thinking as well there's a trick to kind of reduce it. That's question one. And for question two, is it okay when I'm asked a question why the UK? I should make reference to some of my hobbies. Take for instance, I'm a fan of Chelsea, and I make reference to okay, going to the UK. I also like to go on Stamford Bridge to watch one of the games. Does it make sense to make any reference of such? Thank you so much.
So in terms of the first question, right now I can remember, but there is another method for start approach that is your answer in 3 words. I search this quickly and I will give you the answer. About the second one, about the UK, I think it's important to talk about why you decided to study in the UK, why you chose. Because for me, for example, they ask me, you chose another country, like France, other country, but why exactly you chose UK? So in this example, I answer like just because it's a multicultural country. I talk about the universities, how they're in the UK, and then I talk about how the UK is engaged with sustainable practice. It's something that my country is not. So I want to learn from them, and then I can come back to my country and like do this too. So for the question talking about like for example the bridge and that they could actually like ask you what other activity you're planning to do in the UK instead of study. I think this example is like what other things you want to do in the UK besides studies. So you can talk about football, you can talk about like enjoy the music. UK have good music. You can talk about the food. I want the UK food, for example, and other examples. Yeah. Thank you.
I think just to add on to that, in terms of a trick to reduce the star approach, this is quite a challenging question you've asked because you must use the star approach. Honestly, I find it helps you in terms of giving an answer that has direction. The trick that you could do is not to last too long on any of the STAR. Like when you're giving a situation, don't go too long. When you're saying what tasks you were involved in, don't elaborate too long. That's the only trick I can give you, but you have to use it. Otherwise, you'll find you've not told a very nice story that people can understand. So I don't know. I hope that answers that. And to add on to the one about why the UK, it's I think for me what I did is I answered first of all the reason why I'm coming to the UK, okay, which is studying. I chose the UK because the best project management course given in Botswana is actually done by a UK university. So I wanted to actually get the opportunity to choose my own UK university. So start off with your course and then, like Edwin mentioned, mention your module conveners, mention at least a module that you know you are very passionate about, to say, and in this course I'll be doing design management, and I feel like in Botswana there's not an emphasis on this type of topic. So first mention the module and the course itself. Then you can go ahead. Like for instance, I said I enjoy eating breakfast. Like I can eat breakfast in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and having the best cafe for English breakfast just a walk away from my university is going to be a plus for me. But please note, I can't even afford that now. But you've got your interests, put them in there, but start with the most important thing.
Thank you. Just to add on, as a point of emphasis to my brother, Chevening has, even when you go to their blog, they have clearly told you that one of the best ways you can respond to most of these questions is to use the STAR approach. So Chevening is the only examiner that will even give you tips on how to answer their exams. So please, you do not have any other way out, but use the STAR approach. And maybe just to allay your fears and probably help you get used to the STAR approach, I should say that the STAR approach is one of the best ways you can summarize whatever you want to share with the panel. It's really, like Michelle has shared, you just have to make sure that for every element of the STAR, you do not prolong anything. If you are sharing the situation, let it be summarized. Let it be very simple. There was a disease outbreak. There was maybe a landslide that happened. That's a situation. As summarized as possible, but don't think of anything else because you'll be probably confuse yourself. The STAR approach, get used to it. Just go in detail. If you go to YouTube, you'll find so many videos that will explain to you how important the STAR approach is or how you can actually make good use of it. So get used to it. And then maybe just on, from my opinion, on the element of why the UK, I think one of the most important thing is you look at what is not in your country that you think you'll get from the UK. And to be honest, if you looked around, there are so many things that are not in your country that you believe you'll get from the UK. But also you could also relate that to what already the UK is doing in your home country. Like, for example, by virtue of the fact that the UK has picked interest in what they are doing in your country, it should be of interest for you to also build a lasting relationship with the UK government. So you coming to the UK is an avenue for you to actually find ways of how you can actually build a long standing relationship with the UK government. But you also mentioned about football, going to to those stadiums and watch football live and all that. People downplay those examples, but I can guarantee you, as part of the things that can actually make people laugh in the interview, look at some funny, besides academics, because that is also one of the elements that Chevening emphasizes that yes, you have come here to study, but they don't want you just to spend time in books alone. They want you to spend time having fun, because through fun is when you will be able actually to build the networks that you talk about. So talk about football. Maybe when you come, you'll meet a colleague who loves Manu the way you love Manu, and you'll go walk together to the stadium and watch football. So please, if football is your thing and you really, oh, wow. Yes, so it is whatever you want to do. Like the other day, we went and did go-karting, and it was fun. It was my first time. But through that, I actually met people that probably I wouldn't have met if I had not gone for that activity. So fun elements are also very good examples of why you want to come to the UK. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Salwa, go ahead.
Yes, do you hear me on? Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I have two questions for you all. My first question that is some of us until now didn't get offer, and nowadays we are applying. If we don't get offer before the interview, can we change the courses after the interview, or that is very difficult? This is my first question. Yeah. And my second question is, there are many universities ask us to applying by giving them more personal statement and more other documents that we applied. Did you understand me all?
Yes,
Do
you
you hear
can
me?
go ahead. Yes, we are hearing you very well.
Yes. Yeah, my internet connection is not good. Yeah, this is the
You're actually very
reason.
clear. You are very clear.
Yes, my
Yeah.
first question was that is we are now in interview stage, but till now we didn't get any offers because we didn't know that we have to apply the last few months. We are applying now, so when we go to interview, after the interview, if we didn't get any offer, if that happened, can we change our courses or not after the interview? In some cases.
Okay, to respond to that question, one, you will have the last opportunity you have to change your courses, programs is actually at the interview stage. And one of the panelists will emphasize that to you, they will tell you this is the last time you have an opportunity to change your courses. So you want to change them. So please, I would so much advise that as you're applying, one of the things you need to check out right now is look at a university that has, the university has what we call the acceptance rate. And each university, like for example, the University of Glasgow, I think the acceptance rate is about 75%. But there are universities where the acceptance rate is actually 25%, like Oxford, and the other universities that are really very hard to get into. So I would so much advise that at this stage, don't look for difficult universities. Look for universities with a higher acceptance rate. A university that you really know, with my documents, if I apply in this university, there is a 75% chance that they will admit you. So if you are sure of that, then that becomes your first choice, so that in case you want to realign your things or your courses when you get to the interview stage, you can use that university as your first choice or as way of realigning. So try as much as possible to look at that so that you really don't get into issues. On the second question, if I got it right, I think you're talking about universities that are asking for, like, for example, proof of, let's say, financial proof or something like that, if I got it right. Even Chevening, if you read the website, they will always encourage you that until they have told you have been awarded a scholarship, do not make commitments to any universities. And it's also very good that most of these universities, when they give you a condition offer, and maybe the condition is for you to pay a deposit fee, they will give you a period within which that deposit has to be paid. And in most cases, that period is long enough. In most cases, around July, August. So, and by mid-July, most Cheveners will have actually received feedback from Chevening. So by then you'll know that, yes, you have been selected or you have not been selected for the scholarship. So for now, I would so much advise that you don't make any commitments, especially financial commitments, to any university until you are sure you have gotten the scholarship. Thank you.
And about your like conditional offer, I would suggest go for the interview at least with unconditional offer. So this show that you are like have a place at least at the university. Me if I have like a conditional offer. They ask me about the IELTS, for example, if I already booked an IELTS. So yeah, it's good to go for the interview with a proof that you are like doing the stuff as you need to do as a future leader. Yeah.
But I just want to add, if the people who just apply, please don't panic. You have time until July, and I hope so that everything will going successfully for you. But if you don't change interview or on interview stage your university, but end of the 12 or 14 July, as I remember correctly, 14 July you have not offer, unfortunately you are not able to get the scholarship. So I know personally 5 person from different country who unfortunately has not got the unconditional offer for the deadline, and they are staying in them country. So trying to engage with university as soon as possible. It's a very hard period right now for universities. We have strikes. There is also Easter holiday soon. So guys, try to find the course leader. Every university has own course leader, and try to engage with them, and send them like your screen that you are already in the on the interview stage. I shared the experience that I have already done. So I was waiting 3 months for University of Glasgow, and then end of the February, I was like, okay, what's going wrong? And I keep in touch with course leader, and I ask her like, sorry, I'm already waiting 3 months, and deadline was 42 days. Why I have not any offer or like any answer? And they were like, okay, I'm sorry, we check. And second day I had unconditional letter. So just keep in touch and use all the opportunity that you have. Attending for open days. The university organized a lot of open days for you, for new applicants. So sorry to long speech. And the next,
Maybe Maya, before you come in the next question, just to add on,
yeah,
that applicant should also not get worried. One of the things you need to know is that even when you do not change the structure or the format of your courses at the interview stage, if by the deadline you have been given by Chevening to submit an unconditional offer letter, any of the universities that will have admitted you, even if it was your third choice, and you have an unconditional offer letter with them, Chevening will accept that. They will
yeah,
not say you did not bring the first university or the first choice. So you should, I would so much say that don't panic. The most thing you have to do right now is put emphasis and just make sure that by then you have at least one unconditional offer by the deadline of what Chevening gives. And any that you have will certainly be allowed by Chevening.
that's true. That's true. You need, guys, only one unconditional offer. Does not matter which rank you select, which university you got from. So only last 4 question, guys, and we should finish the meeting because it's already time out. So Nodar, go ahead. I change my approaches and starting from the last person. Go ahead, Nodar.
Thank you, Mai. Thank you very much for your presentations, for your conversation. It's really helpful. And my current question is about unconditional or conditional letter that we might get before the interview stage. And how important would it be to kind of print out the conditional or unconditional letter and bring during the interview stage and like kind of prove that we have already this kind of letter? And how important would it be to emphasize on this kind of opportunity if we get one? Thank you very much.
I know that. I think it will be quite good for you to present the evidence, and Chevening would love to see that already you've received some response. And especially if you've made a decision that you're going to that particular university, it's going to be good for you. So please mention if you've received conditional and unconditional letter, and put emphasis if you have received from your first choice university. It really shows you also have some excitement in your face. I think I did that when they asked me, so have you received any responses from your university? I was like, oh yes, the University of Reading has already given me an unconditional letter, and I've decided that's exactly where I'm going. And for those that have not received responses, I just want to advise you to email the admissions office in those universities. Mention the fact that you've been invited to a Chevening interview, especially if it's universities that partner with Chevening. They realize Chevening as a scholarship, you know. Just last week, I was awarded a certificate by the VC just for being a Chevening scholar. So they recognize Chevening, use the fact that you are attending an interview to get a response from them. So apply and then send an email. I'm just distracted. I see somebody sleeping there while watching us. Thank you, guys.
I agree. Just a couple of sentences that I want to add because I'm from also Georgia and other. So uh, I also had unconditional letter from my first choice, and I was very excited. Told them that like, you know, like, but my interview was online, so I had not opportunity to print it and show them. But they asked me like when I applied, oh, okay, like try to prepare for Chevening, like for very beginning. I was like, yes, I applied for like when I finished my application stage, and they were like, oh, very impressed because to getting back answer from the UK university needs time. So it's showed them that you are already leader, you are like passionate at what you are doing. So they asked me some following question regarding the topic, but it was very engaging and so like positive for my part to I'm here as a Chevener.
Sure. One follow-up question, please, if I may. Actually, reverse question. What happens if we don't have the unconditional letter till the interview stage? Is it kind of negative for the interview panel?
Doesn't have a problem, I think. But yeah, you still have time until July, I think. If I'm not wrong, you still have time until July to get an unconditional offer. To show that you have an unconditional offer doesn't affect your chances to get the scholarship. But if you have, it's a good point. Yeah.
Perfect.
Actually, to add on, an example, I never had any unconditional offer by the time I went for the interview. So it doesn't matter.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Salwa, I think we already answered you back. If not, please go ahead. Because your hand is still raised. Okay, for next person, Sarah, go ahead. Please
Hello.
unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is I have one of the unconditional letters from the universities that I have chosen, but now I want to prioritize another university that I intend to apply this month. So hopefully in April, when my interview will be happening, my question is, what if I mention that I want to change my first priority, but yet I don't have my prioritized university's letter or offer letter? So should I apply, or like I shouldn't go for that thing? It may create a negative impact.
So you want to change your first option for another one. If you want to change the first option, like you can come with the university you want to change, but also come with like some kind of things that complement your decision, like why you are changing your position for this one, for example, the third one for the first one. If you are coming with another one, you need to come up like with some kind of support to show them you are changing this university because of this or because of that. I don't know if I answer your question correctly.
Actually, the thing is, if I already have unconditional offer letter from my first prioritized university, but I don't have the other one offer letter that I am trying to request that I want to go to UCL instead of Westminster University. So I am confused. Like, am I losing the kind of opportunity by mentioning this thing?
Maybe just to add on what Diana has shared, what you are saying is that you already have an offer from Westminster, and Westminster was your first choice university.
Yeah.
But you now want to go to UCL, which was not even a part of the 3 universities that you presented. Is that correct?
Yeah. UCL was
Okay.
not included.
Was not part of the, yes. Now, like we said, they will give you an opportunity to share that. And of course, Diana has told you, excuse me, you'll have to give them reasons to justify that change, but also to, if you have not, by the time of the interview, do not have even an unconditional offer from UCL, it is okay. They will allow you to make that change. But what you'll have to know is that if eventually UCL gives you an opportunity to, they give you an offer, that's well and good. If by the time of the deadline, you do not have an offer from, let's say, UCL, and the other 2 universities have already given you unconditional offers, then certainly you'll have to select from one of them to be part of the universities, because normally you'll have to present one unconditional offer. That's the email Chevening will tell you, at least one unconditional offer. So at that time,
So
you have to choose.
what would
Sorry?
me like a safe player? I'm saying that what would you suggest me as a Shivner? What should I do? Like, should I plan or not? Like, apply to that university? Because I believe that I will not have any offer letter till that date of my interview from UCL.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that it is okay to tell them that you want to change and tell them the university you want to change. Because if you don't tell them that, even when you get an offer from UCL, it will not be added on your list of universities. So if your interest is UCL, please feel free to tell them that yes, you want to go to UCL, you have applied, but you haven't gotten an offer from them yet, but you want it to be your first choice university, such that it is included among the 3 choice universities. But if by the time of the interview, if after the interview, UCL is not on the list of the universities that you have presented to the panel, then even when you get an offer, they will not allow. So for me, if you really want UCL, like the way I badly wanted Glasgow, please tell them at the panel that, yes, I do not have an offer with these guys yet, but I want it to be part of the list of universities that I want to go to, and I think I want it as the first choice university. They will allow it.
Can I come in here?
So
Yeah.
what I should do is like I should give them valid points to make changes in my first priority. That is my duty, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I was going to emphasize to say, if I'm in the panel, you would have to tell me a very convincing story. Remember, you wrote essays based on 3 universities. That school has to be so good that you have to sell the story of changing 3 schools to put in another one because you've written an essay based on the 3 schools. So, Sarah, you have to tell a convincing story for changing to UCL. Not just merely, I want to go to UCL. You have to really tell a convincing story.
Yeah.
Do you think it will be very challenging for me or anyone?
Sarah, I advise you to search YouTube our first session because all the question was regarding the changes university. Because right now we can give the chance any for other applicants to ask us last question. And please, if you're in our chat, I will share it on the group. If not, just Google our name, Global Chevening Mentorship, on YouTube. Just search it and you will find our first session. It's online and all the speakers talking about the university changes and which kind of proof you need to change the university and why it's good chance or why it's affected you as an applicant. Thank you so much. And our last person who asked us question is Eman, and go ahead directly question please because we are time out.
Thank you very much. I have a question regarding universities. After getting the email of acceptance from Chevening, I have just started applying for universities. Till now, I don't have any offer from any university. I applied for the university I put in my application and also extra universities, yet no response. So I asked about this point. In the interview, I don't know when they will ask me regarding universities, what should I do? What should I say regarding universities? I applied for Middlesex, Greenwich. So if anyone applied for these universities or even Bristol and Glasgow as extra universities, how long does it take to respond for your application? Thanks a lot.
So regarding this question, I received my conditional offer one day before the interview. So we can continue engage with your university, try to send them an email saying that how Maya said, saying that you're going to achieve an interview. So I would like to know my application status, like how the thing is going. So they will actually answer you in like 3 days, I think. And they will not going to send you the offer if they're still evaluating because they receive so many applications during this time of the year. So send an email and you can like wait for what they will say. The other thing that I will suggest is if they didn't ask you about the university offer, don't come with this topic. If they ask you, you can say that, yeah, I sent an email to the university and I'm still waiting. The condition offer doesn't change or doesn't reduce your chances to get the scholarship. So don't worry if they ask you about this, just say that I engaged with the university, I'm still waiting for the offer. Yeah.
The last point, please. Um, uh, are there any universities that offer very fast offers, conditional offers I can apply for within a week? I can get response from them. Suggestions.
Unfortunately, we may not be in position to share that, but what would advise is look at the universities. Like every university has a lot of detail about how long it takes for them to respond to applicants. But also, too, I would so much discourage you from applying to university simply because you want a quick admission or something. Like Diana has shared, whether you have a conditional offer or you do not have one, remember even when you're applying, somewhere within the portal there is where they say, I already have an offer, I have an unconditional offer, I applied and I am waiting. That means Chevening is also aware that by the time you go for the interview, you may have an offer which is unconditional or you have one which is unconditional, or you have one which basically you don't have an offer and you are still waiting for the universities to respond. So Chevening is aware, so don't lose your dream university or your dream master's program in a given university simply because you want to have something to show Chevening during the interview. I think I would so much advise against that. But like Michelle shared, please push these universities, send them emails. They respect Chevening. And I think most of these universities have partnerships with Chevening. So just send them an email, tell them, guys, I really need to. I remember when I was looking for my unconditional offer after I'd been selected for the scholarship, I had to send Glasgow an email and the documents they wanted for them to give me the offer, and they told me I had to wait for 7 days. But I had a deadline with Chevening, which was coming within 4 days. So I sent them emails and I had to get my offer, I think, within like 2 days or 3 days. So they know these things. So just kindly interact with them as much as you can for you to be able to get that. But if you have already applied, don't be under pressure. Chevening will not mischarge you simply because you don't have enough offers yet with them.
Can I give a tip, Maya, in terms
Thanks,
of
Edwin
also
and Michelle. Thanks a lot.
the
Sure.
other tip I want to give you is, with me, what I did, my program director, I looked for her on LinkedIn. And I sent her a message. I'm like, my name is Michelle. I'm a prospective student of yours, and I would really love to come to the University of Reading. And then she said, okay, I'll have a look at your application, because you'll find your program director also reviews the applications that are coming in. So try my strategy. It might work, it might not work. It worked for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I had the same experience.
Wow, I do. Thank you.
I emailed, I did not looking for them on LinkedIn. I emailed and it's work. So thank you so much, guys, to attending for the session, and thank you so much for your volunteering their current Chevener and share your experience here. So guys, I want to let you know that our next session is tomorrow at 3:30 in GMT time. So we are waiting for you, and people who have question and who we did not answer you back today, you will have chance tomorrow to engage with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.